Hello everyone, welcome to History and Culture. In ancient China, emperors had a peculiar custom. Their hats were often adorned with several rows of hanging, jade bead curtains, at the front and back. At first glance, these jade strings seemed rather inconvenient. They could hit the face or sway back and forth, appearing obstructive and impractical for walking or speaking. So the question is, if these jade curtains were so troublesome, why did emperors insist on wearing them? What was the purpose of these jade beads? According to historians, the reasons behind this tradition are far more complex than one might imagine. As rulers of a nation, emperors could not be judged by the standards of ordinary people. Take these seemingly unnecessary jade curtains, for example. Though they appeared inconvenient, they concealed profound meaning and wisdom. First of all, as many people might have noticed through historical dramas, these jade strings were very sensitive to movement. Even the slightest motion from the emperor would cause the beads to sway and emit a clear, crisp sound. Sometimes, this even added a slightly comical effect, seeming to undermine the emperor's majesty. However, in reality, this was the first important purpose of the jade curtains, to maintain imperial dignity. Because the jade strings were so delicate, any excessive movement or improper posture would cause them to sway and make noise, potentially leading to public embarrassment. To avoid such situations, the emperor had to maintain a composed and upright demeanor at all times. Whether speaking, walking, or sitting, he had to be extremely poised and proper. Through daily discipline and self-control, this gradually cultivated a solemn and majestic aura around the emperor, inspiring awe and respect among officials and the people. Secondly, the jade curtain served a very practical function, to conceal the emperor's facial expressions. In court, the emperor often faced a variety of officials. Without any cover, cunning individuals could easily read subtle facial cues and use flattery or manipulation to exploit his reactions. With the jade curtain partially veiling the emperor's face, others could not clearly observe his expressions, making it harder to guess his thoughts. This helped prevent unnecessary probing or sycophancy. Moreover, if the emperor accidentally revealed emotions like surprise or anger when hearing unexpected news, it wouldn't be easily noticed by the courtiers, thus preserving the authority and mystique of imperial power. Of course, the deepest significance of the jade curtain goes even beyond that. It also carried a profound symbolic meaning, to remind the emperor not to judge things by appearances. As the bead swayed subtly in front of the emperor's eyes, his vision would become faintly blurred, instilling a constant reminder that what you see is not always the truth. The message was clear: the world is unpredictable, and one should not jump to conclusions based solely on appearances. In governing a nation and understanding people, a wise ruler must look beyond the surface and grasp the essence. Only by doing so could he become a truly enlightened monarch. So, although this tiny jade curtain might seem obstructive and unnecessary, behind it lies the profound wisdom of ancient governance and personal cultivation. Each bead, each sway, served as a silent reminder, a testament to the ancient Chinese people's subtle and refined thinking. Even today, this wisdom from thousands of years ago remains worthy of reflection and learning. According to historical records, Qin Shi Huang established the imperial system in ancient China, becoming the first emperor and calling himself the first emperor, Shi Huangdi. From then on, China entered over 2,000 years of feudal imperial rule, with the emperor becoming the symbol of state power and the core of society. In ancient times, emperors possessed supreme power and honor. They referred to themselves as Zhen, while others addressed them as Your Majesty, the Sacred One, or 10,000 years. Privately, people would also use titles like the Sage, the Great One, the Lord, or the Supreme, highlighting their unparalleled status. When Qin Shi Huang ruled, he wanted to personally oversee all affairs of the realm. In other words, all matters, great or small, must be decided by the emperor. However, governing such a vast empire alone was unrealistic. And this form of rule was not yet mature. Later on, although emperors remained the highest rulers of the land, central government systems gradually evolved to assist in managing state affairs. For example, the Han dynasty implemented the 3 lords and 9 ministers system, while after the Sui dynasty, it developed into the 3 departments and 6 ministries system. With such institutions in place, even if the emperor was young or unable to govern, the administration could still function effectively. However, this kind of system also brought about another issue. Sometimes, the power of central officials became too great, even to the point of marginalizing the emperor and threatening imperial authority. Throughout history, many individuals staged coups due to this, such as Wang Mang usurping the throne or Cao Cao holding the emperor to command the feudal lords, both illustrating the risks inherent in this system. In ancient China, the death of an emperor was referred to as jiabeng, and the culture surrounding imperial tombs played an important role in history. Tomb architecture during the Qin and Han dynasties, represented by the mausoleum of the first Qin emperor, had a very distinct characteristic: large burial mounds and luxurious tomb chambers. The Han dynasty continued this style, with imperial tombs typically built with extensive burial mounds, symbolizing the majesty and permanence of imperial authority. By the Tang dynasty, the form of imperial mausoleums began to change. Represented by Emperor Taizong Li Shimon's Zhaoling and the Qianling of Empress Wu Zetian and Emperor Gaozong Li Ji, Tang dynasty emperors' tombs were often built into hillsides, using the natural mountain as the burial mound. This design was not only grand and imposing but also helped prevent tomb robbery. During the 5 dynasties and 10 kingdoms period and the Song dynasty, frequent wars and weaker national economies led to smaller-scale tombs, no longer pursuing excessive luxury. The Yuan dynasty took a particularly unique approach by implementing deep burial without markers, meaning that after an emperor's death, there would be no visible signs of the tomb on the surface, further increasing protection against theft. After this nearly 400-year period of decline, Chinese imperial tomb culture reached its peak during the Ming and Qing dynasties. Ming Taizu Zhu Yuanzhang reformed the previous burial system by replacing the traditional, truncated pyramid-shaped mounds with circular, precious domes, baoding, adding more sacrificial structures, and changing the courtyard layout to a multi-compound rectangular design, thereby pioneering a new mausoleum system. The Qing dynasty further refined this system, not only inheriting Ming practices but also enhancing them, bringing the architecture of Chinese imperial tombs to its zenith. The imperial mausoleums of the Qing dynasty can generally be divided into 3 main necropolises based on their construction period and geographic location: the 3 tombs outside the Great Wall in the early Qing, the Eastern Qing tombs, and the Western Qing tombs. The Eastern Qing tombs are located in Changrui Mountain, Zhuanhua City, Hebei Province, while the Western Qing tombs are in Yongning Mountain, Yi County, Hebei. Additionally, the planning and architectural style of Qing imperial mausoleums featured centralized layouts with a unified main entrance. After passing through the main Red Gate, one would successively encounter stone statues, steel pavilions, and ornamental columns flanking the spirit path, which would then branch toward the tombs of different emperors and empresses. The overall layout followed a very systematic order, typically including a 5-arch stone bridge, memorial archways, steel pavilions, a 3-arch bridge, the grand platform, Deweitai, the palace gate, the Hall of Eternal Grace, Longan Hall, and its side halls, followed by the stone flat bridge, another platform, glazed gates. 5 sacrificial offerings, the square city, Fangcheng, topped with the spirit tower, Minglu, the crescent city, the precious city, Baocheng, and finally the precious dome, Baoding. The tombs of individuals of different ranks, emperors, empresses, princes, princesses, concubines, were strictly differentiated by scale and regulation, forming a well-defined hierarchical system. It's worth mentioning that the Qing dynasty placed particular emphasis on site selection and environmental quality for their imperial tombs. In addition to detailed surveys of hydrology, geology, and climate, the layout of mountains and rivers was also carefully considered to reflect the philosophy of harmony between heaven and humanity. Tombs were required to be nestled within natural surroundings, ideally beside mountains and rivers, harmonizing with the nearby landscape so that the architecture blended seamlessly with nature, creating a solemn, harmonious, and sacred atmosphere. At the same time, the Qing dynasty demanded higher standards of architectural quality. Structures had to be solid and durable, while also magnificent and ornate in appearance. The palace-style Longyan halls, exquisitely carved stone statues, and the resplendent spirit towers all vividly embodied the grandeur of imperial authority. This is the History and Culture channel. Liking and subscribing are the greatest help and support to us. Thank you everyone and see you in the next time.